Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Fabrizio Romano here as always to keep you posted on the transfer market. Today again together. It's Tuesday and it's 1 week to go to the end of the summer transfer window, so let's stay tuned here. Remember to like this video, turn on the notification bell, subscribe to the channel as you know to get all the information here real time. And I can confirm to you my information on Nico Gonzalez. One of the stories of the day, Newcastle have their new midfielder. Everything is being planned in terms of medical test, contract signing. Everything has been agreed between Nico, his agent, Jorge Mendes, and Newcastle in terms of contract. Everything agreed between the two clubs, Manchester City and Newcastle. My understanding is that Manchester City already gave the green light for the player to go have a medical and sign the contract. So it's now time to schedule everything, and then Nico Gonzalez this week will become a new Newcastle player. They need a quality midfield, they need leadership after losing Tonali and Bruno Guimaraes, and Nico is coming £47 million plus 3 in add-ons. Then, as we are talking about Manchester City, tonight, guys, Enzo Fernandez was not starting for Chelsea. Congrats to Chelsea, first of all, winning their opening game under Xabi Alonso. Craven Cottage, never easy, winning 3-2 with Morgan Rogers scoring, Palmer, João Pedro doing very well, and then, obviously, the man of the night, Xabi Alonso, getting his first win. But then Xabi Alonso, after the game, talking about Enzo, because Enzo Fernandez played only in the second half. But Xabi Alonso, when was asked about the Enzo situation, is he going to stay, is he going to leave, Xabi Alonso said, in football, I'm no longer surprised by anything. So we will see what happens this week. And when a manager like Xabi Alonso, with the experience of Xabi Alonso, is speaking like that in public on a top player like Enzo Fernandez, we are not talking about a normal player. Enzo is Enzo, one of the best in the world. And so when you say this kind of sentence, it's going to confirm what I was telling you in the last video. So the Enzo story is absolutely open. The Enzo story is absolutely alive. Manchester City are talking with Javier Pastore, the agent of the player, on daily basis, before the deadline, after the deadline. So Man City are still working on Enzo. I will tell you more very soon, but Man City are on it. Man City are not giving up. And so the Enzo story is absolutely alive. Then Chelsea message is they want big money. They set a deadline at £120 million and has to be, according to Chelsea, more than this. But also Chelsea make very clear that they will only open doors to his exit if the money is right and if they can still improve the squad. So that's the message from Chelsea. Let's follow this situation. But I want to tell you once again, after the words of Xabi Alonso, that the story is pretty much alive. Talking about stories of the day, done deal was what I was reporting to you about Allan, this Brazilian winger, 22-year-old from Palmeiras. Manchester City agreed a deal with Palmeiras in the recent hours, also with the agent of the player. Everything done, 40 million euros plus add-ons for Allan, who is ready to fly to England this week for medical test and contract signing. Tonight, Man City and Palmeiras start to exchange all the documents, and then any moment could be good for Allan to say goodbye to his teammates, as they will do already today, and then fly to England to become the new Manchester City winger. And Man City are not done, because Savio is going, because Marmos is going, and so Man City need new players up front. One is going to be Allan, and they want one more. The meeting for Cody Gakpo took place, but don't forget that Tottenham have an agreement with the player. Tottenham agreed personal terms with Gakpo. So now we have to see if Man City will be able to kind of hijack this agreement between Tottenham and Cody Gakpo on the contract and try to reach an agreement with Liverpool. But also don't forget that Liverpool are not selling Cody Gakpo until they get two wingers on the market. The top target, Bradley Barcola, and then one more. On Bradley Barcola, guys, I told you since the beginning, it's not going to be 170 million euros. With all respect for Paris Saint-Germain, obviously, probably in this moment the best team in the world, so they deserve the maximum respect, but the feeling of those in the industry has always been that it's never going to be 170 million euros. Will still be a big amount of money, and this is why Liverpool and Paris Saint-Germain are having a direct exchange day by day. So the conversation is continuing behind the scenes. I told you the media updates on this story are not so traditional like official bid, this money, accepted, rejected, because it's a direct conversation between directors, between owners, so they are talking in a direct way, Liverpool and Paris Saint-Germain, but the deal is alive. Barcola is absolutely a deal that Liverpool want to complete in the next days, and my expectation is absolutely for Liverpool to go very strong for Barcola. Then you still need to reach an agreement for Paris Saint-Germain to have the here we go. So that remains the story. But I told you since the beginning of the window, since May, Liverpool will go very strong for Barcola, and Liverpool are going very strong for Bradley Barcola. And then they want one more if Gakpo goes to Tottenham or Man City. Then, talking about wingers, we said about Gakpo, we said about Allan, we said about Barcola. Few things from today. The first one, injury for Kenan Yildiz. So if someone was still bringing out stories on Kenan Yildiz and Arsenal, I always clarify to you, also last week, I told you, if you want to tell me, do Arsenal like Kenan Yildiz? Of course they do. Who doesn't like Kenan Yildiz? But this is not news from today, yesterday, this week. That's a story from April, May, June. Arsenal always appreciated Kenan Yildiz, but Arsenal knew that Juventus are not selling the player. That's it. End of the story, since May, so no chance. And now Yildiz is injured, he's going to be out for some time, so forget about Kenan Yildiz. Then, talking about wingers from Italy, Rafa Leão. We have to follow the situation of Rafa Leão in the next days because Aston Villa have been offered by the agents of the player the possibility to go for Rafa Leão. There was a direct contact between Gerry Cardinale, AC Milan chairman, and Aston Villa owners to discuss about Rafa Leão. The conversation between Milan and Villa was on several players already days ago. For example, Milan were offering Fikayo Tomori, the English defender who is not part of the project and was offered to Aston Villa, who are looking for a centre-back, but now the favourite to become new Villa centre-back is Ordonez, Joel Ordonez from Club Bruges. So, for example, they were talking about players who might leave AC Milan. And then there is also Rafa Leão in this list of players who can leave Milan in the final days of the window. What's the point now? Villa have been offered this possibility. Now it's on Villa to decide whether they want to go for him or not. The two owners are talking, there is a conversation. Leão could be open to Premier League football, but at the moment that's it. At the moment it's still a conversation offered by AC Milan to Aston Villa. So let's see if it's going to develop into a serious negotiation. For sure, an interesting one to watch because Rafa Leão is an important player and is going to be one of the important names of these final days of the summer transfer window. And then, don't forget, for Leão, there are also calls from Saudi and Galatasaray. Galatasaray have been there for a few weeks now. It's been since the start of the work at Galatasaray have been around Rafa Leão. And so Galatasaray remain interested in Leão. Let's see what's going to happen with Ismail Assar. But Gala are still there also for the Portuguese winger. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. Big optimism tonight around Gabriel Martinelli. One of the stories, exclusive news from Wednesday last week. No one was talking about Martinelli and Al Hilal. And I told you, Martinelli is on Al Hilal list. They made contact with people close to Martinelli. Now, the agreement, Al Hilal, Arsenal, is very close, around 50-55 million pounds. The starting request from Arsenal is 60, but the feeling is that around 50-55 the deal could be done. Martinelli is opening doors to Al Hilal. There is a conversation ongoing on personal terms with his agency, Rock Nation. And so, conversation underway, Gabriel Martinelli could be the next player to join Al Hilal with Simone Inzaghi in Saudi Arabia. On these guys and much more, I will keep you updated in the next hours, so stay tuned here on the channel. Remember to like this video, turn on the notification bell, subscribe, and see you soon.